Hi, good to see you again. In this video, I wanted to have a short conversation about how NLP rapport skills can be used to diffuse a dangerous situation. So I've made a video already on rapport skills, but basically rapport is a sense of liking and trust. Say for example, you're going to meet with somebody, then I would assume that you would dress in a way that matches how you expect the other person to be dressed. And then if they're standing, you stand. And when they sit, you sit. So there's actually a matching of the behaviors. There's actually a matching of the behaviors. And then there's the words that you actually use. So if you want to get rapport with the person, you probably use similar words to the other person, similar concepts and similar values and similar volume, tonality and tempo. And this is how you, so it's a pace, and this is how you build a sense of liking and trust. With some people it's easier than others, but it's essential in any relationship or any communication you're having with somebody, in that you actually build a solid foundation of rapport. And then I'd like to give you a couple of examples. So last year I was running a media training program, and in the break we're having a discussion, and one of the camera operators got really hooked in, and he started having an argument with somebody in the audience, and he was really angry. And what happened was that people started to break up. It broke up the harmony that we actually had there, and people were moving to the back of the room saying they wanted to leave, etc. And I thought, geez, Abby, you got to do something here. And I'd actually been shouting at Peter, say, hey, come on, Peter, let's get on with it. But he wasn't even paying attention. So what I did, I actually screamed at the top of my voice, stop shouting. And at that point, he actually turns to me, gives me his full attention, and he screams at me at the top of his voice, no one tells me to shut up. And then he got behind the camera and we continued the program as if nothing had happened. And at the end of the event, we're cleaning up, and I was working with him there, and it was as if nothing had happened, and he was really friendly to me, which was very interesting. So what I did, I had the courage to actually not just to match his energy, but to go a step higher. And then it actually diffused and came down. So that's very important, that you actually are able to match, go higher to get it to come down. So yesterday I watched a video on Facebook. I don't have the link, I apologize for that. But there was a shooting in the United States, and then what we see is a little video. So there's a shooter on the sidewalk, there's a police car, a cop gets out of the car, and the shooter's aiming his gun at the cop. And then the cop draws, he points his weapon at the shooter, which I thought was quite courageous of him, because I thought the shooter might actually shoot him. And the shooter's shouting at the cop saying, put your gun down, put your gun down. And the cop says the same to him. So there's a pace, they're matching each other. And then the shooter says, shoot me, which tells us something. And then the shooter moves towards the policeman. And what the policeman does, he backs off. So he backs off down the street. And they're about 5 to 7 yards apart. And then as the shooter moves around a little bit, the policeman moves around like this. So there's like a dance. And then what happened was the policeman took a step forwards. As he took a step forwards, the shooter takes a step back. And then he just raises his hand, puts his gun down, and lies on the ground. So what actually happened was that the policeman had the courage. He had the courage to go in and actually pace the other person. He matched what the shooter was doing. And then there's like a dynamic, and he's willing to back down. That creates like a dance. But then, of course, if he's going to back down, at some point he steps forward, and we don't know what else could have happened, but as he stepped forward, the shooter actually backed down. And that was it. It was all over. That was a really good example of NLP rapport skills. Not that NLP developed the rapport skills. It's just like a model of how they work. And then I was thinking, just a few minutes ago, there's been that ongoing dynamic between American presidents and the president of North Korea, Jong Un. It's been going on for some decades. And it was always seemed like what the American presidents were doing, they were making concessions. They kept on making concessions. And yet all we saw was that North Korea was just getting into its nuclear program, and nothing really much seemed to happen. But anyway, then Donald Trump comes along, whether you like the guy or not. Donald Trump comes along, and what he does, he's quite aggressive. And not only does he actually match Kim Jong-un, but he takes it a step higher. And he said to him some months back, look, you do this, we're going to do that, and you'll be sorry. And the whole world's going, oh no, Trump's going to create a nuclear war. But what happened a few days ago? Somehow out of the blue, the North Korean president, South Korean president, they get together, they're at the border, they're crossing the border, they're shaking hands, smiling. It's really interesting. But I would suggest that in that dynamic that's been going on, and it's not to say those concessions that were made by the previous presidents were not a good idea, but what I've actually seen so often in politics, and when it comes to aggressive political groups, aggressive religious groups, etc., they become, when they're very, very aggressive towards the to whoever it is, to the country and whatever, often what happens is the government will make concessions. And you think, oh, okay, they made a concession, this group will back down, but it doesn't. This group then actually escalates, and there's more violence. And then this group backs down, and there's more violence. And that's sort of like part of that's part of the toxic empathy. It's also part of the predator and prey dynamic, where people are a bit scared to step into the position of being a predator, to being the predator. And so, but Trump doesn't have that concern. But you can see how it works. It's like there are situations that we see in the world, and sometimes what we need to have that courage and that strength, not just to match, but to go that little bit higher, and then just see what happens and see whether it actually backs down and we move towards a more peaceful outcome. So let me know what you think of this video. Please like and subscribe and share. It all helps with the algorithms, and I look forward to seeing you again. And remember to keep on challenging everything for the truth. I've spent my entire life doing that, and I would like to share some of my discoveries with you. Whether you're an atheist or believe in a higher power, my book on God is sure to get you thinking. And part and parcel of spirituality is learning how to work with your unconscious mind, such that you can quieten the mind and get yourself to sleep when you need to. And that includes the ability to banish bad habits like cigarettes, marijuana, alcohol, chocolate, and overeating. And as a foundation to a fulfilling life, I believe everyone needs to learn how to work with their unconscious mind, how to explore deep trance and states of deep meditation. If you want to connect, you can find me on Facebook at Abbey Eagle School of Meditation.